Welcome to the Habitat Podcast, the podcast for wildlife habitat management, hunting strategy, and land stewardship. And now, your host, Jared Van Hees.
Welcome to the Habitat Podcast.
I'm your host, Jared Van Hees, so we're here to become better habitat managers. Welcome back, everybody. We are coming to you live from spring break here with the kids. Down here, a little bit south, enjoying some warmer weather with the kids this week, and hopefully you guys are up there cutting trees in the woods like I will be next week when I get home. This episode here is from a familiar voice, or three. All these are friends of mine: Brian Hallbly, Chris Hanbury, and David Hamm. All been on the podcast before, and you will see them here today talking shed hunting in Iowa with my good friend Brad Thomas on his farm. Brad's been a huge supporter of the podcast for many years, and a good friend of ours here at the podcast. They're out there on his farm having a great old time shed hunting in Iowa. So we talk about Brad's habitat, we talk about all the work he's put into his farm, and these guys just have a great time cutting it up after a very successful shed hunt in Iowa. Brad, we appreciate you here at the Habitat Podcast. Thanks for hosting my friends out there as well. And guys, what a great episode. This is just like kick back, relax, talking about shed hunting. Hopefully you guys have found some sheds. I have found one on the HP40 while I was frost seeding. If you're a Patreon member, you saw that video already. And man, that place is just really coming together. I can't wait to get a little more work done and then talk to you guys about it more here soon. I want to give an update on the HP40. I do want to say thanks to all the Patreon members for their support. We had 3 new members join in the past 30 days, which is pretty awesome. Jake Bollinger, you guys have heard from him on the podcast. Corey Sullivan, he's our HP guy out in Minnesota. And then you've also, Travis Nickel is the last one. So Travis, thank you very much for joining as well, guys. We are doing some pretty cool stuff there at Patreon, and love to have you there. Our Marco Polo group fires off every day. It's a video chat that we send each other every day on new projects, what's going on. Could be fishing, could be hunting, could be habitat. It's kind of like the habitat version of a deer camp, but also digitally. Like we're in states, Virginia, Carolinas, Michigan, Minnesota, Iowa. We're everywhere. So appreciate all the members of that community. And if you're interested, check it out in the show notes below. I do want to say that if you are in Michigan next weekend, April 5th, Saturday, we will be at the Deer Hunter Collective, which is a podcast outdoorsman get-together in Mile, Michigan at the Ausable River Outfitters. Ausable River Outfitters, They're in Mayo. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have 3 live podcasts, beer, food, the whole thing, some in-store exclusive deals, some giveaways, live event. We don't do a lot of these, so check them out. The Deer Hunter Podcast, Kevin over there, my buddy's putting this on, and we are part of the Deer Hunter Collective there. We will be there first thing Saturday morning, the whole day event. Love to see you guys there. I also want to say thank you for all the Habitat Podcast hoodie purchases. Those have all been sent out over a week ago. I'm wearing mine right now. They're super comfy, and we appreciate the support there. We'll do some more pre-orders like that in the future, but right now we got about 50 of those things out, and man, they are awesome. Last but not least, I want to thank our partners. We can't do what we do without our partners, and we appreciate everything, all the support there that you guys give. It's really amazing if you can give it back to our partners as well. They are another reason that we do this. And then I do want to give a special shout out. If anybody is down in the Fort Myers area in Florida and wants to book a fishing charter, I've used this guy 3 times now. His name is Anthony Torres, Captain Anthony Torres from Crushing It Fishing Charters. We had a blast today with my son, my uncle, my father-in-law. We caught sea trout, snook, ladyfish, had a blast out there. Just say, hey, if you're down here and you want to go fishing, look up Anthony on Facebook, give him a ring, tell him Jared at Habitat Podcast sent you, You'll have a great time. All right, guys, we're going to get back to the Shed Hunting and Habitat Podcast in Iowa.
Hey guys, Al here, Vitalize Seed. I hope you all are doing well. So we got a lot of new things happening at Vitalize this year, and I wanted to highlight some of those. First off, we got a brand new website. We just added a chat feature to that website so you can get your answers to your questions in real time or as fast as possible. Those actually come directly to us, so we can answer those questions, as well as has some auto answer features for those frequently asked questions. So trying to further increase the customer service that we offer. Number two is we are offering bundles now. So we got a lot of questions about people trying to piecemeal things together. So we took the guesswork out of it for you. You want a fertility bundle? Add that to your cart, and it gives you all of our natural fertility products in one place. We also are adding bulk pricing. So been asked about this in the past, and we've done some, kind of one-off things. But for those people who are buying, 5, 10, 15 acres, depending on the product, we're going to be offering some bulk pricing options for that. So right now we got that up on Nitro Boost. We also are going to have that up for the Clover, Chicory, and Oats offering, and might expand that to other offerings as well. Other things are new products. So we got our annual Clover. That's a fantastic product for frost seeding and also for this early spring, especially for those who still want to plant Nitro Boost. They want to get that annual Clover established. You could go in and drill your Nitro Boost right through, broadcast through it, mow it off, spray it off, etc. We got our Premium Clover Plus. I'm using that on all my logging trails. That's a fantastic product. I'm also using that often with our Clover, Chicory, and Oats mix. So I might use Clover, Chicory, Oats in the first year on my logging trails like I did last fall. Let those oats come in, they'll die off, and then I can frost seed my Premium Clover and Chicory over top of those trails now. So those are areas where I want a perennial crop growing. So I'm using that mix. And then we added our brassica mix as well. We, of course, have our seed feed and seed armor. Those are selling fantastic, and various other products, guys. So please check us out at vitalizeseed.com. We sure do appreciate you, and we're looking forward to a fantastic 2025.
Welcome back to a special episode of the Habitat Podcast. As you can hear and see if you're watching the video, this is not your host with the most, the Mick Jagger with the swagger, the Tony Soprano of deer habitat. My main man, Jared Van Hees, is not in Iowa with us today, unfortunately, but he's off doing the 9 million jobs that he does every day. Appreciate you, brother. As I said, coming to you from Iowa, South Central, that is. Mr. Brad Thomas was kind enough to invite us back out this year. How the hell did we get invited back out here? How'd that happen? I guess you guys behaved yourselves last time. But he had to go home, took some dinner to his wife, had a couple things to do. But I was hoping to have him on the podcast, but there was a big NCAA wrestling tournament on yesterday. So the evening was tied up with that. He's a big wrestling fan. His kids wrestled. Did he say he wrestled?
He did, and his kids wrestled.
Okay, that's what I figured. He's pretty big wrestling fan. So I think you all remember me and my silly story, so I'm not going to go too deep into my introduction, but I've got Mr. David Hamm on my left, Mr. Chris Hanbury on my right. Dave, why don't you take a second? I know you've been on the show before. Introduce yourself. Anything you want to say about yourself to the listeners?
Probably just like everyone else, I got introduced to the outdoors through my dad and my grandfather at a young age. It's probably 7, 8 years old whenever my grandfather would let me tote along. We started off hunting squirrels and kind of just went from there, hunted grouse, and then got into deer hunting when I was around 12, hunted with my dad, and kind of went from there and just fell in love with the sport. And you start running into other people that that deer hunt, and you have a thing in common, and you become great friends with them. And that's kind of how I met these guys. Actually, I met Chris first. He was a mailman. He used to come into my office, and we started talking from there. And then I met Brian here through Chris, and we just all kind of bonded from there. And next thing you know, I'm sitting in Iowa. So it's this, the passion of mine hunting has taken me from one side of the country almost to the other side of the country. So that's kind of my story,
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, speaking of Iowa, I just realized I got my Bill Winke bow hunting whitetail swag on. Shout out to Bill. Hope you get one of them big bucks. that you've been after on that new farm. All right, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Chris Hanbury. Give him a little introduction. Let him introduce himself to all you listeners out there.
How you doing? I got into hunting. My dad wasn't much of a hunter, but I nagged him. My grandfather, my uncle hunted. I got into it. My dad would take me out, so I'd beg him to go out. My dad never shot a deer. The first time I shot a doe, we really didn't know what to do with it after we shot it. My uncle got me into archery hunting, and I got hooked. It's all you really think about. Doesn't really shut off. All year, it's all I seem to talk about. My wife says more of an addiction. Like I said, like Dave said, I met him when I was a mailman. I met him on his delivered to his insurance agency. I noticed that he had some hunting things delivered.
Yeah, I remember he used to come in and sit for like an hour.
Yeah.
We talked.
No, I never took an hour-long break. I work for the government. What you talking about, Willis?
Come on now. You come in and next thing you know, it'll be like it's dinner time. Man. You better go home.
Man, I gotta run now. I met Brian through my daughter, his daughter, and my daughter. Really good best friends. And one day at the bus stop, I just happened to get on and talk to him, and he mentioned that he had a farm in Ohio. I just started going up to his farm hunting, and Brian and Dave got introduced to the group with Bob. We like to do deer drives in the city, second season, and it's been basically hunting together ever since. And honestly, being here the second time, I still can't believe I'm sitting here in Iowa, at a place like this. And I can't thank Brad enough for having us a second time. So that's my story.
Yeah, I appreciate you going into that, man. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time talking about that this weekend, this long weekend, just how blessed we are to be out here. Brad is so generous, and he wouldn't want me to say this. He's so humble and so down to earth, but we can't say it enough. Just he's so generous, and his love and his passion for these whitetail deer and the habitat. I mean, location obviously is everything, but to come out here and shed hunt and find sheds like this every year, you've got to have somebody that's working their rear end off. And it shows here that Brad does that. Not only working his rear end off, just the care and the time that he puts into this place. Just without the winter food here and without the cover and all the work he did, we would probably still find a few sheds, but nothing like we find the last couple of years we've been coming out here. It's just, it's really special. So I can't thank Brad enough. You'll probably get sick of hearing us say that. I know Brad would not want us saying that because he's just a humble dude and, very generous and happy to share, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not we're in Iowa, and we all know there's big deer in Iowa, but this farm in particular, Brad has put he put his whole heart into this, and you can just see it as we're walking through how he has this place set up. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's the Super Bowl of deer hunting here. I mean, if you could put it down, this place is just unbelievable. And I'll say it too. Thank you, Brad. I mean, this is what dreams come true for, a kid from PA dreaming of coming out west and to be here. We're truly blessed.
I remember last year, I mean, we were on cloud nine. I mean, it's 2 years in a row we find our first shed within couple minutes. You walk around in PA, Pittsburgh area, you're lucky to find one a year. But I remember when you find that one, you were carrying on like a fool. And honestly, I think Brad had more fun just watching us act like idiots. Like every time we find something, we're screaming, and he's like, dude, it's just an antler,
Dude, I ain't gonna lie. I pick up a shed, it puts a smile on my face.
Oh, yeah.
I'm that passionate. I mean, I'm giggling. Winner, chicken dinner every time I find one. This year, that was my saying. It's just so much fun, especially when you're with a bunch of guys who enjoy it as much as we do. And we're joking with each other, laughing. I mean, it's not just for, just picking up sheds. I mean, it's just being out here together. I wouldn't want to do it with any other guys. I mean, because we had a good time, and it's the camaraderie, it's the sheds, it's looking at the habitat work. I mean, it's everything, and we're truly blessed to be here.
Absolutely. So let's kind of walk through, we got here, we left Pittsburgh on Thursday night, drove about halfway, spent the night in Indiana, then drove the rest of the way on Friday morning. Kind of took our time. We're all Harley guys. I haven't had a Harley in a couple of years, but Chris and Dave still ride quite a bit. So we stopped at a Harley dealer, had some good lunch, and just kind of took our time, not trying to kill ourselves on this long drive. But what were your thoughts getting back here, Dave? What kind of went through your mind pulling in? Because it's a little bit different now. This is our return trip. We were kind of blown away, and I'm still blown away by this cabin that he has. But it's kind of a different view because you had did you have expectations? I guess I should say.
Not expect. I mean, you just never know what you're going to run into here. You might run into that 100-inch side, or you might pick up a 7-inch side. I don't know. It's the unknowing of coming here that makes it so exciting. I don't know if I had expectations like this is what's going to happen. I think it's just the unknown of what lies beyond the next draw or the next, drainage or behind the next cedar tree. You just don't know. And I think that's why it's so exciting. I mean, other people might hear, you're traveling across the country to go pick up sheds, and they look at you like, you're going where?
The adult Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, to do what? And it is. I mean, we love picking up these sheds, but I mean, it's the drive out here, as I said, the joking. I mean, just spending time with Brad. I mean, he's a great guy, as we said 100 times already, but I think it's just the unknown, that's what makes us so cool. I mean, you don't know what you're going to run into. You can't say this is what's going to happen. You just don't know. I mean, this place is unpredictable, really. I mean, we know he has big deer, but are we going to find that shed? We're going to find the shed of a buck he doesn't know he has, or are we going to find nothing? That's what makes shed hunting so fun to me. It's just the unknown. And I know back in PA, I've tried it, and I'm just, I'm no shed hunter, but here I can pick up a few, which makes it fun. So as long as Brad will have us, and this could be a yearly trip, and it's like a mini vacation, except we're picking up sheds. That's to me, it's my expectation is the expectation of the unknown. And I think that's what makes it so cool, is you just don't know what you're going to pick up.
Yeah, for sure. Very well said, by the way. I don't know. It was almost kind of like a homecoming for me this year, because we kind of knew the layout of, the property, the cabin. And it was kind of neat today walking like, oh, I remember this drainage. I remember how this leads up into this field. So over this last couple of days, I should say. But it's just, I expected to find about what we did last year, and we kind of did. And we'll walk through that.
But what we expected is some places we find a lot of sheds last year. We hardly find any this year. Like they were kind of all in other places, and some were still in those places. In my mind, at least, I was like, oh, when we hit this draw, we're going to really pile up the sheds. And then we come up the top of the draw and we got no sheds, but you could break over the backside. We didn't find, there's one. It was a slower pace this year, but maybe more enjoyable. Like last year, we were here for half the time. So it was, that aspect of it was nice. We didn't have to rush through everything. We kind of, I think, enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed it last year. I think we were able to ease back and, do it more, relaxing. It was more relaxing this year, but is enjoyable to me, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Chris? Any expectations or things that kind of going through your mind on the way out?
On the way out, it was different than last year. I remember pulling up here. There's no lights out here. You pull up front, there was just like a little night light on in one of the windows, and you couldn't even see what we were sleeping in. Then, this beautiful place we're sitting in is unbelievable. You have to be here to see it.
See if I can tilt this up.
And if you don't know, we're sitting inside a silo.
Yeah, we're sleeping in a silo. We're sitting out front at the gate, and Brad said, "Oh, it's open. Just come in." and we pull up and the headlights hit the silo, and we're like, are we sleeping in a silo tonight? Yes, we are, and it's absolutely beautiful in here. Expectations last year, we all watch TV, we all watch hunting shows from Iowa, like Dave said, there's always that chance you find like that 90, 100 inch side. And even out here, they're not around every tree, but it is neat walking around the farm. Like you get to see, you recognize things from last year. Everywhere you walk on this farm, there's you can't go far at all without seeing something that Brad has worked on. Even when we're walking around looking for sheds, we're always fixing the tree tubes that are knocked over. Just stands everywhere, funnels, deer fences. It's a lot of work. I mean, he's had this farm for how many years? It never ends. And we're happy to come out here and do whatever we can to help him out. It's fun.
Yeah, I want to dive into that a little bit, kind of get both of your perspectives on the habitat work. Dave, you've really stepped up your game, you and your brother, with your habitat work and your, what would you call that? Northwestern Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Northwestern, up around the Clarion. That would probably be the most recognizable, closest landmark to my camp is Clarion, PA, up in that area. I mean, I'm on a small scale and started probably into the habitat work not too long ago. I mean, with the assistance of Brian. Brian probably got tired of all the questions. I call him and say, "What's this?
Hell no.
What's this?" And he's like,
"You can't shut me up about this stuff.
Didn't you write this down?" He gives me a hard time, joking about it. But yeah, but I mean, just the little bit of habitat we've done on my own place back in PA. I got 120 acres. Me and my brother have been trying to make a little bit better hunting, and we're seeing results over the little bit we have done. And we got, some lofty goals and plans coming up that hopefully we're going to achieve. But when you come here and you kind of see, what you can achieve with hard work, I mean, this doesn't, this place just doesn't happen. I mean, Brad made it happen. It's what you put into it. But, back in PA, we're trying to emulate kind of what he does and, go big and get some bigger food plots. You got to have the food, and this place shows what the power of food will do. Power,
for sure.
Food and bedding. He has it, and that's what you need. So
Dave's being a little bit modest about his property. I don't know how deep we got into that the last time you were on the show, but real quick, give a quick recap on your property, how it started, because it's a pretty cool story.
Well, the property has been in my family since the early 1900s, and actually it might even into the 1800s. If you walk the property, you'll actually run across old foundation stones in the woods. I mean, it's pretty neat to walk through and look at the rock walls, because once it was all farmland, it was farmed on the top. I mean, there was no trees, and that's back when they plowed the fields by, horse and hand. There was no power equipment. So through the years, it ended up there was several shares, and it got dispersed throughout the family. It was actually on my dad's grandmother's side, and I think there was 7 shares out. And when I started, I guess, getting in hunting and thinking about land, my grandmother had 2 shares, so that left 5 shares. And just over the years, my father has bought the remaining shares and actually just got the last share about 2 years ago and kind of made it all our place. My father's, he kind of gave it to me and my brother. And there was a share with a lady in California he had to search down. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. And to go through that, to get that piece, I mean, you had to follow a lot of steps because she was no longer alive, and then he had to search for heirs. So there was a lot of work into getting our place. And then in 2005, me and my brother, we put a camp on the place. To get that built, we scratched together some money, and it went from there. And if you'd walk into it now, I mean, we've put a lot of sweat and tears into that place, with what we could. And, it's, we work hard on it, and we're starting to see some results. My brother this year, he shot a 142 8-point off of the place that we had some history with the last couple of years. And, right place, right time, they say. And I got the call. I wasn't at camp, and I wish I was to celebrate that moment with them, but it was about 7:20 in the morning and my phone rang. I woke up and my brother, he was just, I got the big eight. I got the big eight, and it's nice to see when your hard work pays off and, you're achieving your goals, and it just makes you want to do more and more, and see what you can do and achieve. So
talk about, what the property looked like before you started and kind of the progression of where you're at now, because you've got quite a few food plots now, right?
Yes, we have 4 food plots now. It started off, it was all woods. I mean, where we're at, it's pretty rugged terrain. I mean, the steep creek hillsides with Mount Laurel. We got quite a few bear. I remember the first food plot we put in, it was just a little bit of an opening on kind of the top section. And we went in and we cleared off. It was no bigger than 30 yards by 30 yards. And we just threw some seed down, and we had no idea what we were doing, but we threw a tree stand up there, and you just create some edging and some cover and something different. And next thing you know, we got a lot of pictures in a 30 by 30 food plot. So we started clearing more by hand, and then the gas well company actually left a bulldozer on the neighboring property. They were doing gas well work, and the neighboring camp, he called them and said, "Can I drive your bulldozer?" And they're like, "Just, fill it back up when you're done." So we come down and he bulldozed that. It's about a little over an acre. And we started from there. We put a box stand on it. And that's what we actually call it, the OG, because it was the original food plot. It's the original food plot. So then we thought, wow, this worked. And we put another one in. We call it the 4-way because it's on a 4-way of a pipeline. And then we put one at the bottom. We call it the Paradise because it's just down there, and it's our big plans for it is to go to 3 or 4 acres, but it's an acre now. And that's where we started with the Vitalize, was down in there. And first year, when it got bad weather and late, the deer really started coming into that Vitalize. And then the 4th plot we kind of put up on the hill. It was just an open section. And, one thing I've learned is you can never not have enough food. So we put it in. We didn't really have a name for it. And the one guy hunted it, and one night he come up and he says, he called it the bean because it's kind of shaped like a bean. And so that just kind of stuck. So we have 4 food plots. And then this coming up, we're looking at logging it, and we're looking at a tractor, but our goal is to, within the next year or so, we're going to double all the food plots at least. So all the food plots that are half acre to an acre are going to go to 2 acres. And then the bottom, we're going to try to get it to 3 to 4 acres. And that should really, really start holding deer a lot more full time, because we're at the far end of the ag. You kind of have to drive almost 2 miles out of this mountain road before you get to the first farm and you get to some ag land. So, and what's kind of cool is when we started doing food plots, now the neighboring camp does food plots, and he's had some really good success on his food plots too. So I think this habitat thing is catching on, and people in Pennsylvania are understanding. And, I think this is where you're starting to see the bigger deer in Pennsylvania showing up, because just a quick thing. The neighbor, when I said about his food plot, he got a shot. He didn't get it at a 10 point, and he grazed it. He had a bad shot. Well, anyway, the guy across the creek shot it, and it was a 167-inch 10 point.
Wow.
Is what it turns out. And it was actually a friend's dad who shot it, and we kind of put the pieces together, and it had an injury right on the upper part of the leg, almost at the belly is where it was hit. And that's why it just a few drips of blood. So, I mean, they're there, but, we're going to try to do what we can, like I said, in little at a time.
Yeah. And it's showing, and it's been cool to watch the progression of you and your brother, Don, getting deeper into this stuff and taking more time. I know you've had your struggles. You mentioned some black bears there.
Yeah.
It's tough to grow fruit trees. Is there anything else that they're kind of a pain in the butt for you?
Like I said, we tried the fruit trees. One year we had a couple peach trees, and we walked up and there's peaches all over them. And next time we came up, they were just shredded to the ground. I mean, so that's kind of, we can't go with trees. Even when you we put some Chinese chestnut trees in and things, that the bears, they just get attracted to the cages, and then it's just like a play toy to them.
Wow.
I mean, they just grab and rip anything. They're it's kind of hard to do things like that. So, we're more or less to the food plots. And like I said, then we're going to start dropping some trees, trying to get some sunlight in, because we need some more browse along with food plots. Our timber's kind of older. We got a lot of hemlock and that type of thing. So kind of got my dad sending him stuff, and now he's sending me QDMA the stuff because he's sitting at home retired, sending us, and so, like I said, it's slow but sure. And like I said, we're at the age now that we need help. So we're looking at getting tractors, and it's getting tough to manage by hand with just 4 little food plots. And so if you're going to take it any bigger, it's time to step up the game here a little bit. So we'll see. Like I said, a little at a time. That's all you can do.
So basically what Dave said there is start planting Vitalize and you'll shoot 140s on your property.
Yes.
So you have an appreciation now of the scale of what it takes to do that. And then you come to a place like this where we talk about the location. Of course, this is the major leagues here for whitetailers anywhere in the world. I mean, everybody knows that. But to get it dialed in the way that he has it dialed in and to maintain it. And the cool thing about that is, like, people on the outside looking in might think, that's perfect and everything's perfect and everything goes his way. But like you said, we're walking along fixing tree tubes, and, he's doing the best that he can. And that's what we always preach to people. It's like, just kind of do the best that you can, because you're fighting Mother Nature. And I'll have a video from our walk around the farm here and show you guys the successes and some of the failures. But you've got to take solace in the fact that even if you only get, 30-40% of your trees to survive, that's 30 to 40% more trees that are there that weren't there before.
Yes.
And it's just little things like that you really have to appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, even walking with Brad, we're on the far section over there. Remember, he's like, I finally got my first acorns off of trees he planted. What
that
year
was cool.
Was that, he said?
That was cool.
I don't remember the year, but he's like, I finally got my first acorns. It's when he first bought this farm. And like I said, the results might not be instantaneous, but it's gonna yield results. You might think it's little, minute, but I mean, if you just try to do the right thing and the best you can, I mean, the results will come eventually.
So, Chris, you made the mistake of coming up to my Ohio farm and helping me out with habitat work. How many days do we drive home tired and sore? But kind of give me your perspective on, what your thoughts were when you first started doing habitat work and kind of transition into what you're seeing here.
I knew nothing about it until I went up to your farm. You just don't realize how much work there is every time. We went up there. We were beat dead, driving home, sweaty, dirty. We finally got a shower. I think I got to use it one time, and then you decided to sell the place. See a lot of similarities here. It's just on a way bigger scale. I mean, you have 40-something acres. Just days of going up there, dropping trees, hinge cutting, planting all those pine trees along the road, the miscanthus grasses. Even though Brian doesn't have the farm anymore, my wife's aunt has a camp nearby, and every year I drive past and I just send him a little picture. Farm looks great, and you get to see how the things have matured. How you get the break from the road from the front field. I actually wish I would drive past one time and there was someone there. I'd knock on the door. Hey, can I come take a look at some of the trees that me and Brian plant? I like to send them some pictures. There's never enough hours in a day. There's never enough that you could do. What did you tell Brad? You have all these lofty goals, but you said even if you get like 50% of it done, you do what you can do. That's all you can do. Right. It's a lot of work, but it's fun.
Guys, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Morse Nursery. I've been planting Morse Nursery trees from their nursery here in Michigan since I've been doing habitat work on the 15 acres. Right before I sold the 15, I had my apple trees budding and dropping apples. I had my chestnut trees dropping chestnuts, my crabs, the pears. Guys, Morse Nursery has been around for a very long time. Charlie Morse used to run the show, and man, their tree stock is unbelievable. MorseNursery.com. Fall is the time to place your orders for the spring. Whether you want chestnuts, persimmon, apple trees, pears, oak trees, or any tree and shrub protection. They even offer a survival kit for $10 that will warranty your tree. You do everything right and it's still, you get the drought or whatever, you still have a warranty. Morse Nursery offers that. Guys, they have starter bundles. They have a hardiness zone map on the website. Morse Nursery is my go-to spot for wildlife trees. I'll be picking up a load of the oldest trees I can get and bringing them down to a client of mine in Iowa and Illinois here very soon. I think if anybody's interested in cold hardy trees, tough trees, good genetic trees that have stood the test of time, check out MorseNursery.com. We even have a code. If you're on Morse Nursery's website, you want to save some money, use code Habitat10. That's 10% off. We even also offer some dealer pricing. Habitat Pockets, we are a dealer for Morse Nursery. If you're interested in getting a good a good orchard set up on your property, let us know. We'll be happy to help. Guys, check them out, MorseNursery.com, Habitat 10.
So Dave, what do you think is the most impressive habitat work, or maybe a couple if you can't think of one that Brad's done here to make this farm the way it is?
There's a lot, but I'm going to go with, and I have never seen it until I got here, is the deer fencing.
Yeah.
I've never thought of that. I mean, you talked about it a little bit,
right?
About doing it. We talked about doing it on the few of the leases we were on, but to actually see it done and to the scale that Brad has done it, it's pretty amazing. I'll let you explain what deer fencing is, because there might be some people here that don't. I call it deer fencing.
Right,
I don't know if there's a technical name for it or whatever, but to me, that's pretty amazing.
It's not like he's fencing off his farm here. It's not a high fence operation. It's basically just, and we talk about it a lot on the Habitat podcast here about, steering deer with hinge cuts, or, if you had a tree cutting done, pushing all the tops with bulldozers and kind of steering deer. That's basically what he's doing. He just has sections of fence, and they're not super high. A deer could jump over them. But as we know, deer will take the path of least resistance. What are those? Are those 4 or 5 foot sections?
Something like that.
Probably 5 foot.
It would be the same as if you had a cow fence and you took the string and pushed it down, you made a low spot. That's where the deer are going to cross.
Right.
It's just the same type of thing. You're just making, I guess, a path to steer the deer to where it's most accessible for you to go and hunt them. And that's what it is. But it was pretty neat to see. Like I said, I mean, there's other things. He got hinge cutting. I mean, he's got the food plots. I mean, he's got this and that. I mean, but that, to see it for the first time, that was really neat, and he probably got tired of all the questions I asked him about why this and that. You just go through, and when you have somebody with,
I don't think he gets tired of it. He loves talking about it.
I mean, but it's kind of neat when you see something on this scale. I mean, I was probably, sounding like a little girl with all the questions, why is this? Why do you have this? Just why not? Why is this stand here? And then he explains the access, and all the deer come, and you're just like, oh, okay. With somebody who has their farm dialed in like him, that was pretty neat. To see that, I guess is pretty wild.
I think all of our jaws dropped when he said, if you sit this stand in the rut, you'll have an unbelievable amount of deer come past here. Really nice deer that he won't shoot, but if we were back home, we would never pass it up.
Yeah. I'd have, you'll see several of these, types of deer come through, and you're just like, wow, like I said. And then you're not in Pennsylvania anymore, but like I said, that shouldn't stop you from doing the habitat work in Pennsylvania. So, like I said, at my place, I don't think we ever, 5-10 years ago, ever thought we'd shoot a 140 off my place. I think we'd have been happy with a 115. I mean, it's just, it can be done in Pennsylvania, maybe not as much as Iowa, but I think you start letting some walk. And I mean, me and my brother have let deer walk for years. I mean, years we've been doing that. Just, if you want to shoot a bigger buck, don't shoot that 8-point that, you know, just to fill your tags. Don't shoot that buck. We've done it for a lot of years, but also, I mean, and you got to be good with that. We've had deer disappear. You know, you're like, next year is the year he's going to be 4, you know, and then that deer's gone. But that's okay. There's other deer that show up. It's pick a goal and try to stay to those goals, and I think you'll achieve, you know, a whole lot by taking that mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard not to get fired up, especially when you're sitting in the position that the three of us are sitting in. And maybe it's the Jack Daniels here. I don't know. Are we getting our 5th point this year?
6.
No, we'll be getting our 6 if we don't pull. So we're
going in with 5.
And if we don't, we'll have 6.
All right.
And I think that's a funny story in itself, because I started putting in for points not knowing that you two were putting in for points. I think I ended up with 2 points before you said, you should put in for Iowa. And I was like, yeah, I have. And we actually had the same amount of points, which was, you know, in my mind, I was just getting points because, like I said, ever since many years ago, I always, wherever I hunted in Iowa, I was going to hunt Iowa at least once in my life. Little did I know I'm going to be shed hunting in Iowa, sleeping in a silo in Iowa. You know, this is far beyond my expectations, you know, and God has blessed me tremendously with, you know, not just bringing you guys into my life, but, you know, Brad, and the opportunities that we have.
Now the Jack Daniels is really talking.
This is Crown. I don't drink. I'm a Crown guy. If not, a little Angel's Envy, you know, if I'm feeling classy.
Yeah. So this all started when we started putting in for these points. Like Dave said, he kind of it just happened as a happy accident, but we were going to hit our 5th point when we turned 50 years old. All 3 of us were born in 1974. No jokes for all you young bucks out there. And kind of that was the thing back when we started, that 5 is probably what it would take to get the drawing. We were kind of hoping last year for our actual 50th birthday, we would have gotten it for 4, but hopefully that still rings true. I've heard people taking 6 points, but we didn't have any plans or any dreams of sitting where we're at right now. We just figured we'd come out, scout some public, do some things. And it's just amazing. Like you said, you know, God opens doors and, you know, relationships grow from that. And just to get to know Brad the last couple of years and him opening this place up to us, it's just, I mean, you couldn't have worked it out any better. I mean, it's just like, it's almost like it was meant to be. And Brad's going to be listening to this going, those guys are really getting into the Jack Daniels.
Well, I mean, he's invited us in like we've been friends for 20 years. I mean, he's just a great guy. I mean, he's, you know, here you go, you know, here's this and that. But I mean, I think we told him 40 times how appreciative we were of
yeah, you can't say it enough.
Yeah,
you really can't.
And I wish everyone could experience, you know, what we have experienced coming out here shed hunting. I mean, if you know, if it was just shed hunting, I'm good. I mean, I feel blessed. Just these trips have been unbelievable. And I think my wife understood. I come home and probably for a week, I talked everything about the last trip. And so when this trip come up, it was coming up towards the same time of year. The wife was like, "You going back out there?" And I was like, "Yes, I am. Yes, I am. As long as we're invited, I will be driving 12 hours to go look for sheds." You know, but she understood. She's called and, you know, having a good time. Yep, I'm having a great time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to make it too exciting to talk about our shed hunting. I guess we can hit some highlights of kind of what we tackled over the last couple of days. Chris, does anything stand out as, you know, something that was exciting? I mean, I think you found the biggest shed. If you want to talk about that one or any other thoughts.
Yeah, I did find the biggest one again. Just joking. It's you're walking past terrain, and we're finding a lot of old sheds, and that one there that Brian's holding, I mean, I spotted it like 30 yards away, and Dave was joking, all right, I want my 95, and I'm joking, my 95, and it is, and it's a beautiful antler, but when you find something big, like everyone, it just, our legs are tired. I'm 50, they're busting my chops because I'm getting cramps, and when you find something, it doesn't even have to be a big one. So you're going a half hour, 30 minutes, no one finds something. As soon as you find something, everyone's like, yeah, let's go. Here we go. Let's keep it going. We weren't on as fast of pace as last year, but we did really well this year. And it's amazing how many, the same places we walked last year, and you're finding old chewed up ones that we walked past last year, and I found
if
it dead.
We were even on that path.
Yeah, I mean,
in your head, you're like, we were in this area, but we could have been 20 yards off.
A lot of I think the first 4 that I find, I think were old, and a couple were probably 2 years ago. I mean, how many did we walk by already this year?
It's impossible to find everything. Like I said, I just feel blessed to be sitting here, even doing this. I mean, to be sitting in this house, like this is technically the second time we've met Brad, and he
in person,
in person. And he's an hour and a half away. Okay, sleep here, guys. See you tomorrow. This is my house. Have fun. Enjoy it. See you tomorrow morning. Not too many people will do that.
No.
So that's my biggest impression. Is it's not the fact that we're going to come hunt here. It's just the whole experience. Like I said, like Dave said, this is our Easter egg hunt. This is, even if I never got to hunt here, it's worth it just coming to do this. Because we can't do this. You can't do it like this at home.
Absolutely. Yeah, there were so many things that we touched on today, and I'm just trying to remember.
There's so many highlighters. I mean, the whole trip's a highlight. I mean, but just touching on things. I to me, one of the cool things was when you walked up and found a match set just laying there to go fix a tree tube.
Yeah,
I mean, just walking over to, and he's like,
kind of like a reward for. I saw Brad going up, and he's trying to straighten out some of these tree tubes, and we're all just relaxing and having fun. I'm like, I'm going to go give him a hand, and walked over to the next tree tube that was bent over, and there was a match set laying right there. Is that them?
Yeah, he grabbed these ones, huh? No, I don't think that one went with this, but they were
close enough. Yeah, close enough. We got sheds. We got sheds everywhere. Nice problem to have. But
talking about sheds everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good set. So yeah, it's just it's just looking forward. Like Chris asked me to put this big shed that he found in his pack, and it wouldn't fit in his pack, so I strapped it to the back of it. And then when we spread out again, I was probably, I don't know, at one point I was 60, 70 yards from him. And it just, the way the sun caught that antler on his backpack cutting through the timber, I was like daydreaming about seeing some of these big racked Iowa bucks coming through that timber there. And we keep saying it almost doesn't seem real. Like when we finally draw, it's going to be like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to contain myself. I mean, like we always talk about, and all you listeners out there, we drive our wives insane as it is. And to have the state of Iowa send you an email and say, congratulations, especially after being out here twice now and seeing what's out here. I don't know, man. You talk about expectations. I think just being here and experiencing that'll be cool. Like Dave asked a very interesting question, and I'm going to pose it to all you listeners out there. Would you rather shoot a 140 or have a close encounter with a 200? That's a tough trade-off.
My mind always works in weird ways, and just I always like to know what people's minds are. But I got a question to you. Which was funner when we found Chris's shed, the first time or the second time when we found Chris's shed? What was more memorable to you, the first or the second time? And how long did it take Chris to realize it was the second time we found it?
I don't think it took him long, especially once he saw the pedicle on it. But the right answer is the first time he found it. But to tell you the story about the second time, Chris and Brad jumped in the side by side and came down to the one end where Dave and I were coming up the drainage, and we just jumped in the back, and I grabbed, just so happened Chris's shed was in the bed of the side by side where we jumped in, and so I picked it up and slid it in my backpack and zipped it closed. And I don't know if it was Brad or like, did you guys find anything? I'm like, I found one. And Chris turned around and I unzipped the bag.
It's a pretty good one. I said, don't be modest. It's a pretty good one. Show him.
Chris's eyes got big. He starts sliding out of the bag, and then he saw the bottom. He knew. I think he knew right away.
You got me. No, I didn't run over right away.
I don't think he did. He's like, is this the match set to mine?
I thought you guys were trying to be sly, like, no, we didn't find nothing except this.
But when it hit you, and you was like, is it the match set to mine? I'm trying to turn my head so I'm not laughing.
In my mind, I didn't even realize what side did I get. And I'm looking, I'm like,
where's it at? Where's it at? And we just started laughing. I mean, but that's the type of thing that makes this trip fun. The laughs are also, just the joking around, with each other. And
but the first time he found it, that's, these guys are really good friends of mine, and they mean a lot to me, and we share this passion, and to come out here, and I know Brad gets a lot of enjoyment out of watching us have fun and experience this, because it's like old hat to him. But it's really fun seeing my friends' faces light up, and to have them find sheds like that. And because we talk about this stuff constantly, as you all know, and dream about it and think about it. And to actually be blessed to come out here and see my friends with these big antlers in their hands and taking pictures and taking videos, and now talking to you guys about it, we're super lucky.
I think Brad gets a big enjoyment watching the smiles on our face.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're acting like little kids. Right. Running all over this farm, grabbing sheds, and he's just, I think he just sits back and goes, all my hard work I've done is worth it, and experience it, because like you said, this is old habit to him a little bit, and us coming on here, and just, I think he really enjoys seeing the smiles on our face, and I mean, like I said, he's treated us like gold, and I can't thank him enough. But yeah, there's just. I don't think we go 10 minutes without a highlight or a laugh or something across this farm. I mean, it's just,
It's not going to be easy to go home tomorrow for sure.
No,
but something to look forward to. And, like I said, we're going to be putting in for our 6 point, hopefully we'll draw. So what kind of expectations, or what are you looking forward to? If let's just happen hypothetically we draw this year, and what are your thoughts on that, David?
I don't know. I'm looking, and as crazy as this sounds, I'm looking forward to the preparation of coming out. I'm looking forward, even though it's 12 hours, the drive out coming with you. That drive is going to be unbelievable. You're not going to knock the smile off my face when I'm coming here with a bow and knowing I have an Iowa tag. I mean, there's going to be a bounce in my step like I'm a 12-year-old getting up to hunt Pennsylvania, back in the 80s. I mean, there's going to be a spring in my step. I'm going to be locked in. I mean, I don't even know what to expect. I get amped up to come out here to shed hunt. I can't imagine. I'm going to feel like that 12-year-old back in Pennsylvania sitting with Texas steers and jeans and on a stump with my grandfather, just like listening to all the gunshots go off. I mean, that kid excitement is going to be back in me, and it's going to be hard to contain it. I mean, just this.
It's going to be a long summer.
Oh,
for you, I work nights. These two lucky guys get to work during the days, and I know the day that if we draw this year, I'm going to wake up to like a million texts. I put my phone on silent. Only people, my wife and kids, and my mom and my dad. That's the only thing that makes my phone make a noise. I'm going to wake up to 1,000 texts, and I hope it comes this June. But if we do draw, it's going to be a very, very, very long summer.
I mean, I'm already getting ready. I bought a new sight. I got a new target in my Cabela's cart for when I get home. I'm ready to go at it. I mean, coming out here invigorates me for the hunting season coming up. But let me ask you the same question. What are your expectations?
Yeah, it's funny. We talked a little bit about this on the way out. Like, Dave owns his own business. Chris works night turn for the post office. working on machines. You guys know I've been in law enforcement forever, and just that grind at work, and family life, and life just going so fast and moving so fast. And a lot of you guys know that I started my own podcast as well, on top of helping Jared and still doing content for Habitat Podcast. You just get caught up in almost like a rat race. There's a reason they call it that, because it feels like it for sure. But it took me, I don't know, a quarter of the drive, half of the drive. I was still like, my head was still spinning because I was busting my butt. And I know you were too, Dave, trying to get your customers taken care of and your accounts settled for your company. It's just like, I got to get all this stuff done before I go. So you're not even in that mode. And just to have that like freeing feeling of like, oh, I'm on the road again, and I don't have to think about that stuff for a while.
Like I told you, a couple of times we talked, I'm like, work is just a grind. It's just that time of year. You're trying to get winter over. And I needed this trip for so many reasons. And right here, sitting here, I feel like I've hit the reset button. I'm good. Go back. This is just the little breaks you need in life. And, I'll go back, ready to go. But these types of things, you don't forget about, and you need these, and whatever your hobby is, sometimes you just need to, life's short. It's, do
not
what you
guaranteed.
can. Yeah. Nothing's guaranteed. I think when we have 50s, we have that conversation a lot, nothing's guaranteed. So,
Yeah. So the long way to get around back to this my point was that I finally shook all that off, and we started talking about last year's trip out here. And then it just all starts to set in, like where you're headed. It's the Disneyland for deer hunters. And I just started getting jacked up. So that's only going to be tenfold when we draw our tags.
No doubt.
And expectations, man. Talking to Brad, like I said, it's just it's old hat, and I'm not going to give away all the conversations that we have, because I respect him so much, and he's a very good friend of ours now. But it is what it is here in Iowa. It's everything they say it is in Iowa, if the place is set up right, which it is here.
Yeah.
And I never have an expectation of killing any certain deer, any type of deer, but I do have an expectation to have an unbelievable experience. And I know that's going to happen. No matter what happens, that's going to happen. And that's all I need at my age. I've done enough killing. I've done enough traveling. This is one of those check marks. It's a big one. And we talked about it for a lot of years. The three of us have thought someday,
and that's
someday we're going to get there.
Getting up that first morning with us and packing your backpack and heading in with your headlamp. And it's the putting a tag on a deer is probably at the end of my expectation. It's just, I'm doing it. And when I started putting in for my points, it wasn't an expectation of coming out here and shooting a giant. It was coming out and hunting Iowa. That was it for me. It was public land. It was just coming here. I've done it, and everything else is gravy. Everything else is just a cherry on the top. However you want to put it, whatever your saying is, it's in. To me, it's 3 times better, because I'm going to come out and do it with a bunch of my friends. Chris, Brian, and Brad. I consider him a good friend. It's going to be unbelievable.
I think coming out here, expectation wise, you want to expect what you see on TV. But honestly, if you don't shoot something here, I think all three of us are going to see. You're going to pinch yourself like, I can't believe I just let that walk past me. I think the amount of deer that we're going to see, the amount of bucks that we're going to see, we're just not used to seeing that at home. I really don't. Back to hit Dave's question, 200 or a 140, it doesn't matter to me. Like, if I'm told to shoot something at a certain size, I know that I'm going to be. They even if they don't walk past you, you're just going to be able to see things that are jaw dropping to someone like me and you guys. It's this farm's so dialed in. I honestly can't wait for it.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue, and it's always a big issue for me, is to manage the pressure I put on myself. But I've gotten over that a lot over the years. I don't have that feeling like I have to have a certain standard for myself. So hopefully I've worked through that, and hopefully I don't have the pressure that I've put on myself in the past, and kind of stepping back and just enjoying last hunting season and the last couple of hunting seasons really seemed to help me get to where I needed to be mentally. And like you said, Dave, the preparation is going to be a huge part of it. Looking forward to getting back and breaking out the old Matthews and getting everything dialed in and just trying to make sure I'm the best shot that I can be. And of course, we'll be in the suburbs of Pittsburgh laying out those, getting our practice in before we go. So, man, it's just, like I said, it's almost not real. I know I keep saying that, but it's like one of those things that you never think, you hear about it, you read about it. I mean, goodness, showing our age here, we're products of, we grew up hunting without the internet. We had magazines. I can remember a young Bill Winke writing articles for magazines that I would read about hunting in Iowa. And it's just and the Wenzel brothers were huge influences on me. They came out to Iowa after killing big bucks in Montana. And just it's like this lifelong, I don't even know what the word is, not experience, but it's this lifelong, not even a goal, because it's like you never even thought that it would happen, but it's just, it's at our fingertips now. I mean, it's here. It's going to happen, whether it's this year or next year. We're going to draw a tag and we're going to be hunting Iowa. And it's just that hasn't really fully hit me yet. And it's going to be cool when it does.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you take it back. I mean, everything is so at your fingertips now. I can remember back as a kid watching the first Buckmaster, Jackie Bushman. I mean, Bill Jordan with Realtree. It's, I'm going to expect that type of feeling, So, but I would be curious to, no one's really said, 140 or 200. I want to pin you down. What is it? I'm going to say, if I could shoot a 140 or 200, I want to have an encounter with a 200. I'd take an encounter. I'm going to put it on record. I'd rather have an encounter. I mean, how many people have had an encounter with a 200-inch deer?
Not many.
I'm sure there's a lot of your viewers that have shot 140-inch deer.
Yeah.
That's just me. I'm a little different, but I'd rather have that encounter because I mean, everyone kind of remembers the deer that they shoot, but how many people are ever going to forget an encounter with a 200? And it could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I mean, that is just a crazy question I pose. So I want to go. Yeah. I want to go on record here with you guys. I want to hear what you have to say. What is it?
Well, anybody that's been following Habitat Podcast long enough knows that I'd like to forget about a bunch of encounters with 140s that I've had. But it is what it is. But no, I thought I answered you pretty quickly. I mean, I'd definitely take the encounter with the 200 because more than likely, if it's going to happen, it would be in a place like this. Not to say that it can't happen in Ohio. I mean, Albert's got that farm dialed in just as tight as Brad does here. And he's got, the genetics, and he'll joke around and say, there's no deer here and all. And Al, you're right. There's no deer in Ohio. Stay away. But I mean, it could happen there, but I'll take the encounter just to say, hey, you should have seen this buck. And let's be real. If I'm even close to guessing that it's a 200, we're doing pretty good because, I haven't even seen that many 150s in my life. So I don't know if I could even tell you if it was 200, but if there was a way to know, I'd want to have the encounter with the 200.
Well, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I've said it for years. I never let a 140 walk past me. I will let a 140 walk past me if I'm told not to shoot a 140 here. But I've to this day, I'm 50 years old and I've never shot a 140. I would love to, but I've been saying that for as long as you've known me. I would never let a 140.
You shot above a 140.
I shot a 150 something, but I still have not shot a 140. So with permission, I would shoot a 140. And if I'm told not to shoot a 140, I'd gladly let it walk past.
So you're taking the 140 over an encounter with the 200?
Yeah. I think it's more realistic of a goal of something. I think the chance of seeing a 200 anywhere is just very rare.
And that's why.
Oh, I
It's
know.
rare.
I get
It's
it.
like that once in a life. And if it's ever really going to happen, it's going to happen here.
Yeah, true.
So I want the trip to be.
But after I shoot my 140, I could be sitting in a blind and I could film that 240.
You ain't sitting with me. No, I'm just messing.
Honestly, what I'm looking forward to this year, whether it be me, Brian, or Dave, and Brad, if he's hunting, is if someone shoots something, I'm looking forward to afterwards. The sitting in the garage with the deer on the hoist, grabbing some bush lights, some Crown, whatever we feel like drinking that night. That's when Dave shot the deer at Zanesville. I mean, that was a fun day.
Yeah.
You know, anytime anyone shoots a deer, especially when when I shot my deer in Zanesville, it was during COVID. When you're with friends and someone shoots a deer and you're just sitting there celebrating. And when Dave shot the deer down in Carroll County, I mean, me and Brian, what time did we get home? Like 3:30 in the morning. And my wife goes, "You were at Dave's house till this time because he shot a deer?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
My wife walks in. We're just sitting there staring at horns.
Randy came down like 3 times. Are you guys still down there looking at that? We're like, yeah.
It's amazing what guys, enjoy, But
like, doesn't everybody do this? Even people at work, I don't work with a lot of hunters, maybe 1 or 2, but they're like, "Where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going to Iowa." "You're taking 5 days of vacation leave to hunt?" "No, I'm going to walk probably 6 miles a day through jaggers and to go find deer antlers on the ground." And they just can't wrap their head around it. But there's nothing I'd rather do right now than, like I said, it's a break. It's a break from work. It's a break. It's enjoyable. It's with good friends, and to each their own. But I wouldn't want to be doing anything else than this right here
and
with you guys.
On a chair, talking about deer horns, drinking some Fast Eddie.
Support your local breweries.
Oh,
Easy Eddie, Hazy IPA, brewed in Iowa. Give it a try. Not bad.
Well, we've been going a little over an hour here, and we can go for another hour if you guys want to. But
we're starting to repeat ourselves. People are probably like, "Oh, geez."
So let's get some last thoughts here, Dave. You want to go first?
Oh, I mean, we've talked about it over and over. I don't even know what to say, but my last thoughts are, and this might not be about Iowa. It's just about, if you have a goal in mind and it's to hunting or a place you want to hunt, figure a way to make it happen and go do it, because life is short. That's really my takeaway from this, because we've talked about everything we can about it. So if you're thinking about hunting Illinois, or you always wanted to hunt Texas, or you wanted to put that food plot in, or you wanted to do something, just go ahead and do it. Make it happen. That's about it, bud.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were coming up a drainage today in a beautiful switchgrass and cedar bedding area. And Dave and I just kind of took a break and we're talking a little bit. And, I lost my dad to cancer back in 2014. And I think about him all the time, and I wouldn't be anywhere near any of this hunting stuff and outdoor stuff if it wasn't for him.
And your good friend.
Yeah. I was going to get to that. It's just no, that's okay. And no, I just wanted to talk about my dad first, because and everybody listening, if they've been listening long enough, has heard me talk about how appreciative I am that my dad took the time to do that. And he'd be out of his mind happy just hanging out here. He'd have been 75 this year. He might not have been able to get up and down those hills and hollers like we did today, but he'd been sitting here waiting to hear the stories when we got back. So you talk about life being short, Dave. My dad was 64. That's not very far ahead for us. And my friend Mike Cooper, and a friend of Chris's too. I'm not sure if you got to meet him, Dave, or not, but he died of cancer in his 40s. So like Dave said, I mean, not sorry to be a buzzkill here at the end of the episode, but it's super important. If you have goals and aspirations, whether it's chasing bucks in Iowa or fishing salmon in Alaska, or just traveling to go see a new country that you haven't, just figure out a way to do it. I mean, it's super important. So good call on that one, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you both. If you have a passion, just find a way to make it happen. Life is very short. A lot of people I grew up with, a couple passed away this year. Take a step back, enjoy it. That picture you took with the antler, with the sunset, sometimes you just got to sit back and enjoy what you have. Enjoy it while you're still able to do it. Like I said, I'm just thankful to be here. That's about it.
I think we're kind of going to wrap this up, man. I want to put this out there. I'm a first time GoPro shooting some videos, so take it easy on me. Habitat Podcast followers, take it easy on my little parts that he may add to the videos. So I'm totally new to it. Watching you and setting things up and what you how your mind works. It's kind of neat watching you do this. What are you doing? Oh, this, I think this would be.
A couple times we were, where's Brian at?
Yeah.
He's sitting there, you can hear him talking.
So,
you got it dialed in.
You followers, you just think he's putting up a video. He's constantly doing something, trying to put together these videos, these, things that you're uploading to Facebook. It's a lot of work you put in, bud. And it's pretty impressive how your mind works, and you're just constantly, doing things that it's really cool. Like, you'll take a picture, I'll look over, I'll be like, move over, I want to take that same picture. I want that picture too. So, I mean, your followers, it's pretty impressive to see what Brian does to put these videos together, to put the YouTubes, the Facebook, the Snapchat, and everything you do. I mean, I look over, you're constantly, grinding and doing these things, but it's amazing what he does. And I just take a step back. So take it easy on me. If you see me on there or he takes a little clip of something I've shot. So it's pretty impressive. And Brian's the one who's kind of made this happen for me and Chris. And I just wanted to tell you, thank you from the bottom of my heart, including us in on this, because you didn't have to try to squeeze us in. I mean, you kind of met Brad, through your connections and knowing them, and you kind of said, can I bring some friends along? So, you've made a dream of mine come true, and I'll always be grateful for what you have done and the connections you've had in the hunting industry, and kind of bringing me along for the ride on some of this stuff. So I appreciate it, Bri.
Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate the kind words. Man, I don't know how to respond to that except thank you. And, kind of like Brad, being generous with the blessings he's been given. I'm the same way. You guys are the same way as well. I had an opportunity to share the opportunity that I got with two of my closest hunting friends, and I was happy to do it. I mean, it's, if you talk about thanks going around, we're sitting here talking on the Habitat podcast, and none of this would have been possible without Jared. I mean, he had a vision for this podcast. And man, 300 some episodes he's in now. It's just
yeah. I mean, I know Jared.
We don't swear a lot on this show, but that's fucking impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I see Jared through all his endeavors and posting on Facebook. He's just like you, just grinding, and the success you guys are having shows. I mean, it's not as easy as what you think it is. People just think I can post some videos and these things happen. It's a lot more than just that. I mean,
that thing up your house when Brian was editing your son's hunt, I basically tapped that, and just to see how much better your videos have gotten in 3-4 years. It's a lot of work. I don't have the patience for it. I said, when you're walking with him, he's always talking, setting things up, moving things, trying to make it as professional as you can. And along with Dave, I appreciate it. Can't thank you enough. You and Brad. Wouldn't want it with any other people. And Dave, it's been a blast here. Can't thank you enough. If Brian got me into hunting Ohio, I was just strictly PA. Started hunting Ohio up at his farm, and me and Brian took a trip to Wyoming a couple years ago. Beautiful place. Unsuccessful. Didn't matter. When you're sitting in a tree stand and you look to your left and you see Devil's Tire, it's a little bit different than hunting in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. Brian's opened up things that I would have never done. I was just strictly walk out the door, drive 20 minutes and find a tree stand, go hunt. But I appreciate it, man. I mean, can't thank you enough for having me out here with you. It's been a blast.
Yeah, you guys are welcome. Man, I'm getting all
I think we could probably do a
teary-eyed.
podcast the first time you got us to the ATA. That trip was pretty good too.
Oh man, you're starting to go down memory lane here. We've had some great times.
Oh,
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's just been a blast. But thank you guys for saying that. I know you appreciate it. You don't have to say it. I know you guys do. Just the way that you show your gratitude. You're always willing to help. Anytime I need something, you guys are there for me. And it's just, they say if you have one good friend in life, you're blessed. And I've got many, and I couldn't be more happy. I'm super blessed. And so I appreciate you guys saying that for sure.
Well, it's just letting you know, as much as we let Brad know, we appreciate you and all the connections. I mean, a lot of my Ohio deer are because of you and your connections and inviting me on to leases you have. So all the deer I've shot in Ohio that we kind of spoke about is you kind of bringing us along, So, I mean, you've done a lot for us. I mean, whether you know it or not, I am completely grateful for everything. I mean,
well, we got lots more coming.
One of my most memorable muzzleloader hunts in Ohio was actually at your camp.
We're going to knock a second hour out real quick.
I mean, the muzzleloader, I mean, a lot of my memories, in the last 5 years has been with you, in Ohio and things of that nature.
A lot of good times, man. A lot of good times.
We won't go into that. Like I said, this will turn into 5 hours.
No, but getting back to the storytelling, as I like to call it, putting out this content, it is hard. It's very hard. And I'm not a trained person in videography or photography or even any type of media. I mean, for goodness sakes, I've been in law enforcement most of my life. But it's just a passion of mine to be a storyteller. Some days I'm better at it than others, but that all comes back to, working with Jared, and he's a master storyteller. I mean, you listen to him. I mean, from day one on his podcast, I mean, the guy's got it dialed in. He's just got that personality and that smile that he always has on his face, and he just connects with people. And, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, through the Habitat podcast and Jared giving me the opportunity to do more and more things and to get more creative and kind of take over certain things, like, hey, do what you're doing. And it was kind of rough around the edges at the beginning, for sure. I look back at some of those videos. I'm like, how did anybody even watch these things? And there's still times, I'm not a professional by any means. I mean, we've got some really great people out there, like Broken Straw Media, our friend Lucas, and countless others that are just, professionals. I mean, actual professionals. But for a 50-year-old dude scratching by, with the opportunities that Jared has given me, I wouldn't have met Brad if it wasn't for the Habitat podcast. So it's kind of cool to see that all come full circle. And while we're thanking people, and another thing too, before I forget, you talk about guys grinding, Al Temechko. I mean, he's always, the content he's putting out, and not only the content, I'm just goofing around in the woods, recording myself, talking to nobody. Al's going through a master class of studying the fungi and the soil and testing all these products. I mean, he's actually busting his ass to bring a great product to people and putting out all that content on YouTube, on his Instagram, Facebook. And to see him and Jared work together, that inspires me to try to work harder and continue to bring good content for the podcast. So,
yeah, I mean, that first time I met Al, I think we were on, was it the podcast? Maybe was it the podcast with Sam, Jared?
That may have been
and
the first time.
I got off and I'm like, man, that Al, that guy's smart, man. He just, listen to him talk and how knowledgeable Al is. I was like, wow. And I've set foot a couple times on Al's place, giving you a hand on some things. His farm's pretty impressive too. I mean, it's
super impressive.
To see, you've told me about the encounters there. So, I mean, I guess if a 200 inch is ever going to happen in Ohio, you probably have a good chance there with all the work that Al puts in. You tell me everything he's doing, and he's constantly down there putting in work. So,
yeah, for sure.
But I mean, we're talking about all these great guys and, and nice people we've met. I mean, the hunting industry, I mean, there's a lot of down to earth, good people,
That's the best part. Jared and I say it all the time. The best part of all of this is the people, hands down, the people and the experiences that we get to have with those people. And I hope it just continues to grow. And I appreciate everybody out here that listens and sends us messages and watches our videos and follows us on social media. I mean, we wouldn't be here growing if it wasn't for the people out there supporting us.
And Jared was the whole reason. He's the one that created a Habitat podcast. So cheers to Jared. This ain't Bird Dog, but cheers to you, buddy.
Cheers. You got any beer left in there? Nope. Well, while we're thanking everybody, and to wrap this up, I'm sorry, guys, my wife's not listening to this, but I'm going to thank my wife and Chris's wife, Dave's wife, Jared's wife, Brad's wife. I mean, behind the scenes, the graciousness of our wives, they keep the home fires burning. They take care of our kids over the years while we're out chasing this passion that realistically drives them nuts. But we have some amazing women that really appreciate the passion that we have for this, and they support it. And it's a selfish thing. I mean, Brad and I were talking about it today. Hunting is a selfish thing. Like, Dave, your situation, your wife likes to come out and hang out in the blind sometimes, and your son likes to go hunting with you. My wife is super supportive of it, but she has no interest. I mean, and that's fine. I mean, that's her personality, and she didn't grow up. But now she'll fish. She'll outfish me. But I think it's very important for us to recognize them. And what else could you say?
Nothing. I mean, my wife does sit in the blind with me now a few times a year. She enjoys it, but she sees the passion I have for it, and she enjoys the sunsets. We were up there the last day of rifle, like I was telling you, and she's taking pictures of the sunset. She's like, "This is beautiful," and the next thing I look over, and she's sleeping. She's like, "This is just so nice." I mean, it's not just about shooting deer. I mean, it's more than that, and I guess only hunters understand that. People from the outside just look at it as, "Oh, you just want to shoot deer." No,
right.
There's a lot to it. So.
All right. Well, I think we've gone on here long enough. Chris, you got any final thoughts?
I'm good.
All right, David.
Final thoughts. I'm still just trying to wrap my brain around even our second trip here to Iowa. I'm trying to download everything that's happened over these last couple of days, and it's going to take me last time about at least a week till I came down and was able to wrap my head around it and just put everything, process it, and just understand how lucky we are. So just looking forward to the next adventure, and hopefully maybe we can, they call this a tease, I guess, in your thing. There might be one of these in late summer coming. So
there you go.
That's the jargon there, I guess.
He's going to get himself a full-time job here. He was carrying that GoPro around. He did a pretty damn good job. So, yeah, that's coming up, everybody. We got lots of footage from the weekend. I'm going to be uploading that to the YouTube channel. Like I said before, appreciate you all taking time out of your day to tune in. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Habitat Podcast. God bless you all. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Habitat Podcast. We really do appreciate you guys coming back every week to get this awesome Habitat content. And we would appreciate it if you went to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. That helps us continue to grow and trend in the right direction, attract new listeners, and help us provide better content in the future. Guys, we have a website full of resources. We have a blog on the website. We have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all linked up at habitatpodcast.com. Our land plan services, merchandise, decals, hats, t-shirts, and I give away a free 5-inch decal to anyone who leaves us a review on Apple iTunes. Really appreciate it. I want to thank our partners, Downburst Cedars, Vitalize Seed Company, Morse Nursery, Packer Max Cultipackers, Stealth Outdoors, First Light Latitude Outdoors, United Country Midwest Lifestyle Properties, and Exodus Outdoor Gear. Thanks again, guys. We'll be back next week with another great episode of the Habitat Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.